Welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're joining me for another installment of Stitch Artist Level 1. This is class number 2. We're going to go over a little bit of the library, true type fonts including applique, and I'm going to briefly show you how to import a background image. In the meantime, if you don't have Stitch Artist Level 1 and you're in the market to buy it, please check out my link down below. There's a sale going on where you can save an extra 10% on the already discounted price, and I think it's over on June 12th, so you need to 2023, so you need to hurry up and go over there and get it if you're interested. So let's get started. Okay, here we are in the software Embrilliance, and it's Stitch Artist Level 1. I also have Essentials on my machine, but I'm talking today about pretty much Stitch Artist Level 1, and this is class number 2. I'm going to start with using the library, as I said. And to find the library, you're going to come way up here to this little icon that looks like a gear with an arrow pointing down. When you hover over it, it says Merge Design, and underneath that it says Merge Design from the library. So I'm going to click on that. When I click on it, something about Merrily may pop up on mine because I have Merrily, but I don't have it installed right now because I just want to show you Stitch Artist Level 1 basically. So I'm going to click here. Yeah, see, I'm going to ignore that, and then it's going to open my library. So here's the library, and if you'll come right here where it says catalog, notice there are many different types of things in here, and I may have more than you because I've gone to the Embrilliance website at different times and I've downloaded and installed more library items. But basically what we're going to work with today is the one that says Embrilliance Outlines right here. Click on that to open that. And now if you look on the left hand side here and scroll down, there are lots of options. So there, if I click on this one down here, it says shields, and I can find lots of different kinds of shields. Shapes, many different shapes. Okay, and another shapes, and this is the one I like because it has the bear paw or the puppy dog paw. But we're going to go up here further, and I'm going to go to hearts. And I can click on any one of these hearts I want to, and I happen to be watching the Embrilliance playlist where they got this heart right here. So I'll get heart number 3 as well. I'll open that by double clicking on it, and it opens right into my 4x4 hoop. I know it's a 4x4 hoop because I can look right down here. Remember, it says 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters. Again, if I wanted to change my hoop, I would come up here to this little icon and click on that. And if you'll notice the one that's highlighted here, notice it says 4x4 in front of the millimeters or the metric. I did that, and you may want to do something like that yourself. All I did to get that like that was to highlight the one I wanted to work on. So let's pretend I want to work on this one. And I would say edit. And then right in front of this, I could click and I could say whatever I want to say, and then say OK and apply and go on. But I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to say cancel. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my heart larger, and I want the heart to be larger from the center and go larger on all sides. So in order to do that, I'll hold down my shift key and whoopsie, click on it again to select it, hold down my shift key and drag. So notice this part is still staying in the center. If I undo that and go back to where it was, and say I only click on this corner, notice it's really changing. It's going way off the hoop. So again, undo, put it back there, hold down your shift key if you want to keep it centered, and then just drag it to make it bigger. So I'm going to make it that large. Now if you'll notice over here in the objects panel on the right now I have one object, one design, and it's a line, a heart line. I really want it to be stitches, but you know what I really want it to be? I really want it to be an applique. And making an applique is so easy in this program. All you have to do is you have a shape, and get any shape you want over there, and come up here so that you're in the create mode, which is Stitch Artist. Once you're in the create mode, you're going to come way over here, and if I point to this right here, should tell me what it is. There we go, applique. And you can kind of tell it's an applique because that's an applique stitch that's usually used when you're doing applique. When I click on that, check out over here, it automatically changed it into an applique. Let's look at the stitch simulator. Notice in the stitch simulator there are 1, 2, 3 different colors, and you can control that. Let's see what the first one is. When it does this one right here, on my fabric, that's going to show where to place my thing that I've previously cut out or my fabric. Make sure I cover that. After that, it's going to do the tack down, or I believe it's called the material stitch in Stitch Artist. So now it's going to tack down my fabric. After my fabric is tacked down, it's going to stop, which will allow me to cut very, very closely all along this edge so that all I'm left with is the base fabric and my applique fabric. Then it's going to go ahead and start doing the stitching. It's going to do a satin stitch because that's what I've chosen on mine. Now you may be wondering, where did I choose that? Let me show you. So let's go back over to here to create mode, and let's come over here and click on applique, and that opens up the applique properties down here. Now notice here where it says border, I have satin. I could have made it an E-stitch like that. I could have made it a blanket stitch, zigzag, or none, but I decided to do satin. Right now the fabric preview is unselected. I can select the fabric preview and it pretends like there's a piece of fabric in there. Also, here I can click off or on the material and the position, which is actually the placement stitch in my way I learned it, the placement stitch and the tack down stitch. And so I can click those off or on, but I need those for the way I'm going to do my applique. Let's watch this again to stitch out. So it's going to stitch the placement stitch, so I know where to put my fabric, the tack down stitch, and then finally the satin stitch. Okay, so that's terrific, right? And that's one of the ways that you can use the library. Let's open up a new page and go to the library again. And let's just get another shape. Let's get a star. I think I'll just get this one right here. Double click on it to open it. And I can make it larger. Again, if I want it to become larger from the center out, hold down my shift key. And I can just leave it like this. I could put a stitch around it if I wanted to by coming to create, satin border around it. After I select it, satin border, there we go. And I could leave it just like that if I wanted a satin border around a shape. Let's go back to the other one, because of what I wanted to show you also was how to use, oh, and by the way, all of these shapes in the library are royalty free. That means that you can use them, you can sell them, you know, you can sell, not sell them, but sell projects made with them. They're royalty free. So again, the next thing I said I was going to teach you about was the True Type. The True Type button is right over here. Now, if you don't have the Create mode on, you won't see it. So you have to come up here to the Create mode, click, and then click on True Type. Now, the font that I'm going to show you today, I happen to get from Creative Fabrica. I'll have it linked down below for you if you'd like to try it as well. It's called Children Writing, and here it is right here. If it wasn't right there, I could type in something. Let's say I'm going to make a monogram for my daughter. Okay, whoops. So usually you put the middle, their last initial in the center. So that's what I've done here. Her first initial, her last name initial, and her middle name initial. Okay, so I would say okay. And then I can make this larger. Again, if I want to, I can hold down my shift key. There, that's larger. That's pretty cool. However, sometimes when you're doing monograms, the middle letter is sometimes larger than the other one. So I can click on just the N, hold down my shift, and make it bigger if I'd like. So it's like that, a little bit more. Okay. So there is a monogram for my daughter. Now, the thing is, though, I don't want it to just be like this. I want it to be filled with something. So I'm going to come over here in the Objects panel and click on the name so that all of these pieces are selected. And then I'm going to come up here to where it says Satin Column. And it comes in there perfectly. Now, if I'd like, I could click off and then click back on one of these. Let's see, the A. Maybe if I want to move it over just a tiny bit and put his little feet up on that line, and I can do the same thing to this one, move it over tiny. Oopsie. Come here, you. I got to click on it till I see this little box right here and my hand changes. And come like that. Okay. And what I did on, something happened right here when I was moving it. Let's undo that for a sec. Not sure what happened. So let's try moving that again. That's odd. I'm not exactly sure what happened here, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead, click on this one to select it and delete it. Here I can delete it on my, just go to the selection and it's gone. Now I'm going to take this one and select it, and I'm going to come up here to copy and paste, and then I'm going to drag this one right over here like this. Okay, now they both look perfect. So the only other thing is maybe I want to change the color of that to make it the same as what this outer edge is. To do that, I could click on ANA again, the monogram, come down here and click on the color swatch. And then if I go to threads, I can kind of look for that color. But if I go to palettes, it will show only the colors that are in this palette that I'm using right now. So I want to use this one right here and say okay. So that's perfect. That's ready to go to my machine, and believe it or not, it's going to stitch out perfectly, as you can see by this image right here. But what would I do now? I would go to File, and for this one, if I'm just going to send it to my embroidery machine, I would say Save Stitch File As, and I could name it as ANA Monogram or something, and I'll save it as a PES file because that's what I use, are PES files, because I have a brother. Save. And now, because my brother is one that has where I can send things wirelessly, if I were putting it on a thumb drive, I would go to File, Save Stitch File As, and then here, Save In. I would find my thumb drive here and save it on my thumb drive. But since I'm sending it wirelessly, what I do is I come down here and open the design database transfer that comes with your brother machine. Now, I had this open recently, and notice my design is not in here. So what that tells me is I need to close it and then reopen it so that it can populate again, and there it is. So at this point now, I would click on this. That's the one I want to send over to my machine. Click this because it's going to add to the writing list. And then come down here because this means to transfer it to my sewing machine or my embroidery machine. It's going to tell me to wait for a minute. It says it's finished outputting the data. So if I go over into my embroidery machine now, it will be there waiting for me. But wait, that's not all, as they say in the infomercials. So if we look at the stitch simulator here, check this out, what's going to happen. It's going to stitch, the placement, oopsie daisy, the placement stitch, the tack down stitch, and then the satin stitch. Then it's going to do the letter N and one of the A's and the other A. And that looks terrific, right? Except for that we like to not have a lot of jump stitches. And if we come up here to view and I click on jumps, I'm going to view the jump stitches. Click on that. Okay, you're going to see, hopefully, let me scroll in a little bit, you can see dotted lines between these things, and those dotted lines represent jump stitches. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go back, let's see, to my hoop. I clicked on the compass rose and click on the H. It fits it to my hoop. And I want actually this A to stitch first. So that A, when I click on it, oh, it's this one down here. So I'm gonna click on this N actually and move it down. Okay, there we go. So now what's happening is it's gonna click on this A first, then it's gonna stitch the N and then this A. Okay, that's again not what I want. I want to bring this A up here and bring this A down. Okay, this is crazy. But here's the A I want to go first. I just had to finagle them around. And actually, I don't think it's in this version. In Stitch Artist Level 3, you can just click on these things in order and it'll put them in the stitching order you want. But here I had to drag them in order. But what it's doing now, it's doing the A on the left and then the N and then the A. But you'll notice there are still jump stitches if you look right up here. See those dotted lines? So what you can do with this program is this. Let's go back to the compass rose and back to hoop. I'm going to select all of those. Then I'm going to come up here to utility, let's see, which one was it? Oh, I have to be in create mode. That's why I can't see it. Create mode, click on that, and I'm in create mode. Then come up to create, auto, entry, and exit. Okay, before I do that, I want to show you where they are right now. So if I'm in create mode, you can see, remember we've learned before that the green bow tie is where it starts and the red bow tie is where it ends. So if it ends here, it's going to have to jump over to the N, and the N starts way over here. So the jump stitch is going to go from here way over to here to start it, and then it's going to finish this right here, and then it's going to pop over to this A. On the other hand, if we come up here to the create and we say auto, entry, and exit, click. Now what it's going to do is this. Let's see, it should have fixed it. I see something strange. Oh, this is for my satin stitch right here. It's going to go from here to here. Okay, but between these guys, let's check it out. It's going to go, let's get to our stitch simulator, those things. Then it's going to do this, and now it's going to jump after this to the A on the left. It's going to do that. And then it's a little tiny jump between that little bar right here on the A and the B or the N. So that may not be bothersome. It depends when you do your stitch out, you can see. And then it'll do the other A. Now when you do your stitch out, you may decide that you don't like it like this. You want the big jump so that it'll actually, if you have a machine that cuts the jump stitches, it'll cut them and there won't be any problems. But if you don't, you may want to try this. At least you know how to do it for future projects as well. So let's see. So today I wanted to go over using the library, which we briefly did that. Hundreds of royalty-free outlines. We did a true type font. We brought one in and we added a satin column to it, which this can also be done in Essentials. And then I showed you how to get an applique set up. And the last thing I wanted to show you, and this is just a little teaser, how to import a background image. Okay, before we do that, they say the proof is in the stitch out. So on the left, you'll see I'm doing the placement stitch on my background fabric. On the right, I'm doing the tack down stitch. After the tack down stitch, the next piece you'll see on the left is where I'm cutting around the image. And then on the right, I'm doing the satin stitch for the final bit. Then on the next one, you're going to see the very final version, and it worked out perfectly, and I think it's beautiful. Now, on we go to bringing in a background image. Okay, this is going to be really quick because it's just a little teaser for you to come back for class number 3 in Stitch Artist Level 1. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do so you know when that one comes available. So what we're going to do is make sure that we're in design mode, right by coming right here, or create mode I should call it. So I'm going to click on create mode. Once I click on create mode, notice over here I'm given the word image. Remember earlier we used the true type button right here, but I'm going to use image, and I'm going to go and find an image that I have on my computer. I have this one already all set up to open up. It's a JPEG image. I'm going to click on it to open it and say insert. Now sometimes, here it is coming inserted just perfectly. Sometimes you may not see it, and that may be because this button right here that says show or hide the background image might be unselected. So now you can see that I have a design over here in the objects panel, but nothing is showing up on my screen. That's because I need to click this little button to show the background image, and there it is. Now why in the world might you want this background image? Well, check this out. One of the things you can do in Stitch Artist Level 1 is to come over here with the draw with points and just begin drawing this item, this picture, with points. So I could come here and just draw, and I'm going to teach you about drawing with points next time. So we're not going to do too much right now. What I've done is I've just drawn in that little triangle right there. And right now, if you look over here in the design panel, it's just a line. If I wanted to, I could make it a run stitch. I could change the type of run stitch it is over here in the properties, or I could even make it a fill stitch. So that's one of the beauties. Now, if I don't like my image showing up this much, that's right here, I can click on it and come down here in the properties and make it much more transparent so I can see better what I'm working on, right? Or, of course, I can totally get rid of it by clicking this off and on. But that's it. So that's all I wanted to show you right now. You need to be in the create mode. You need to come over here to image. And you're going to find an image on your computer and click on it and say open. And it opens it right here into your design page. And then again, you can change the transparency. So join me back here next time when I show you how you can mess with things in Stitch Artist Level 1 and really have a grand old time. So thanks so much for joining me. Hey, if you don't have Stitch Artist Level 1 and you're in the market to buy it, or any of the other components of Embrilliance, please check out my links down below. Right now there's a fabulous sale going on. Make sure you check it out quickly because it's not on sale for long. It gives you an extra 10% off of the already discounted price. So check it out. See you again soon. Bye for now.